You know, $15 million.
Yeah, Michael Woods, that's the other story with the Browns this morning. Michael Woods, Josina Anderson reported it first. I believe he's got I think Mary Kay has confirmed
Mary Kay confirmed torn
He's
Achilles.
got a torn ACL?
Achilles,
torn Achilles.
Which is even worse.
I feel for you, my man. I've had the torn Achilles. It's awful. You're in better shape than me, but it's still a long road back for torn Achilles. He's done for the season. He's not going to play this year. I don't know that Michael Woods was making the roster anyway, was he?
I'll let Jason start with that.
I think he was. Yeah, I think he was probably. Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, think about it.
He was a bubble guy.
He's a bubble guy.
You have obviously Cooper, obviously Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones. What's his name?
You think Marquise Goodwin.
Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah. You think he'd be.
I assume Jakeem Grant is on the team.
And David Bell.
And David Bell, they're not going to cut after 1 year. That's 6. At most, you got one. Maybe if there's another better return guy, maybe Jakeem Grant's not a short thing. We have 5 short things. I'm assuming Jakeem Grant is 6.
You forgot Anthony Schwartz.
I am assuming he's not on the team. I think it's obviously time to move on unless he has a magnificent camp, which obviously we'd all bet against. So at best, there's one available spot. So.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what Woods did last year on special teams, and I think Bubba Ventrone's going to have a big say in, hey, I really think this guy could excel in a special teams role. On the one hand, it's obviously terrible news for Michael Woods, and we wish him a speedy recovery, but it happened while working out with Deshaun Watson in Texas.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure who else was there. There was no other.
We hadn't had any reports about that, Jason. Did you hear anything about?
That they were going to, they were going to work out.
Okay.
We were talking about it at the NFL meetings that they had they just completed them or they were just about ready to start.
Yeah.
Do you know were all the receivers going? Just out of like pure curiosity.
I don't know that all of them were going, but I think a few of them were.
But the fact that Woods was there tells me at least, hey, Watson saw something within him that made him want to work with that. So I think that may not be the difference in making a roster or not.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that they were trying to build chemistry in the offseason for a young receiver with a new quarterback that may have led to, something productive in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, we all want to hear that Deshaun Watson is working out with his teammates in the offseason because he's got improvement to
make.
And
he is. Even if he's not posting it, he's working out.
Yeah, I don't care what he's posting or not. Jay was a little hung up on that. I wasn't really that hung up on that. Obviously, you want to know that he's working as long as I guess I'll give him benefit of the doubt that he's working hard this offseason. Listen, if he has any pride, which I think he does, he better work his ass off because he got humiliated last year. He everything that happened off the field, which he didn't happen to him, he did it. And now he's trying to play. Well, he comes back at the end of last year after sitting out for 2 years. He sucked. And everybody's taking pot shots at him. And the only way to get back at people, to make them pay for the things they've said, is to kick ass on the field. That's all he can do. So we'll see if he's capable of doing it. Not only this season, but the Browns' immediate future is completely tied to whether Deshaun Watson can get back to being that quarterback. There's no other way around it, guys.
No.
In this, in 30 years ago, if you put together a great defense, even 10 years ago maybe, in this AFC, in this NFL that is pass happy and crazy, the Browns will only go as far as Deshaun Watson takes them. It's really that simple.
And look at the landscape of the NFL. Outside of the 49ers, which is the one anomaly to this whole thing, and Brock Purdy may end up being very good. I'm just not ready to crown him after, 9 games. That roster is so talented outside of the quarterback spot that they can hide a subpar.
And they still haven't won, ultimately.
And they still haven't won.
They haven't won a championship.
If you don't have an elite quarterback, you're SOL. You're crap out of luck in today's NFL, and we think Watson is an elite quarterback.
And that's still the NFC, which is much weaker than
different.
the AFC.
Yeah, in the AFC, we talked about the quarterback. In the NFC, it's Jalen Hurts and then 5-6 guys who would be the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th quarterbacks in the AFC.
That's right. So, we'll see what the Browns do here.
This may be a topic for another day. I'm calling it slight audible, but I was thinking about it as we were talking about, like, Michael Woods, would he make the team or not? Browns don't have a pick to the 3rd round now. I think 2 3s, 2 4s, right?
2 3s, 2 4s, and 2 5s.
What position could even make the team at this point? Like, what position?
Linebacker
and defensive end, I think, are the two that come to mind.
Me and Earl were talking about this yesterday. And Earl, if you want to chime in a sec, but I'd be shocked if the Browns pick at 74. We actually thought maybe on the air.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're going to trade up.
They might
package some picks to get up and target a guy they really like. They can't draft 10 people.
I mean, listen.
Agreed.
There's always they could always move on from Harrison Bryant and then add a third tight end potentially. Yeah. There's always some depth on the offensive line if you see a guy you like in the middle of the draft more than some of the guys you have on the team.
without a first-round impact, like we could all circle linebacker and say, oh, if they had a first-round pick, linebacker is the obvious.
Right. Yeah.
But I just don't know what spots are even. Where is a mid-round rookie, even going to make an impact on this roster?
Well, but that's the thing, Jason. I was saying this yesterday. Like, obviously the Chiefs had a lot of rookies that made impact last year, but sometimes if you're a good enough team, you draft a guy thinking a year ahead and saying, hey, let me draft this guy because I'm going to move on from player B next year.
And that's what the mid-rounds are supposed to be. That's why you take an offensive guard or a right guard in the 5th round, hoping that he's going to replace Wyatt Teller in 2 years or Joel Bitonio in 2 years.
And
I'm just looking at this draft and this roster now going, boy, I don't know. Because, I mean, every Browns fan lives and dies with the draft and, because those guys play right away and make an impact.
To that point, tomorrow we have Joe Marino, an NFL draft expert, coming on to talk about that. And this morning I was making a mock draft graphic of 10 different mock drafts who are the Browns picking at 74, which, first off, is impossible to tell this early.
Yes.
73 picks in advance, who will be there for the Browns.
Yeah.
It was split between receivers, running backs, and safeties. Those were the 3 position groups that, of the 10 mock drafts we looked at, I think there was 1 defensive tackle in there, but there was 2 receivers, and I'll save who it is. You guys can look it up, but we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
2 receivers, 2 safeties, 2 running backs.
With their ability, listen, with having 6 picks between rounds 3 and 5, it is entirely possible they could target somebody in the 2nd round and move up.
Absolutely.
Especially mid-2nd round and mid to late 2nd round, or even move up earlier in the 3rd round, whatever. But I do think wide receiver is a possibility because we don't know what Amari Cooper's long-term future is. He's getting up there in age. And, depending on what they've seen from these 2 young running backs they've drafted the last 2 years, maybe running backs get pushed down in the draft. There may be a running back they love.
There's running backs
especially
on that list.
Because I know some people will hold their breath when I say this. Nick Chubb, I don't know how much, as great as he is, running backs tend to fall off the cliff in their late 20s, and a lot of times you don't see it coming.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it happens one year. So I don't think running back's impossible. The only position I could see the Browns drafting somebody and that guy starting is linebacker.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's a sure thing that they would start. I'm just saying I could see them drafting a linebacker without, besides injury, linebacker is the one position they could potentially
it's the weakest
trade
position
somebody.
on the team.
No
I think
doubt.
we can all
no
agree
doubt.
on that.
You don't have linebacker is the one position you could say. Is anybody should any of those players definitely be starters on a good team?
I'm going to tie this back to Al Woods real quick.
Yeah.
But in a hypothetical world, if the Browns do sign Al Woods, there is no excuses for these linebackers not to be able to find the running back against the run.
Right. Yeah.
Between Tomlinson, Al Woods, Myles Garrett, and Obo, that's a defensive line that, theoretically speaking, on paper with Jim Schwartz's tutelage, should be able to eat up offensive linemen, take on 2 blockers at once, and free up the linebackers to run around and make plays. And if they don't, then it's a complete rehaul. DeQuell would be right about JOK.
Right.
G would be right about Anthony Walker. Taki Top. It'd be a complete rehaul if these linebackers this year can't make plays.
By the way, whether they sign Al Woods or not, defensive tackle is another position they could target because Al Woods is a short-term thing.
1 year thing.
So is, what's his name when they signed for the Niners?
Hurst and Tristan Hill.
I mean, those guys are all flyers.
Yeah.
If the Browns see a player in the 2nd round, 3rd round, whatever, that they think they could trade up and get, I think it's possible if a guy's good enough, they could end up with a starter in the draft at defensive tackle. I think it's possible. Definitely linebackers possibility. Any other spot is unlikely to be a starter.
I do have a question for you, Jason, for both of you guys real quick. Let's say they do sign Woods. Just say they sign Woods. That gives you like 7 defensive tackles right now in the rotation. Tomlinson, he's a lock. Woods would be a lock if they sign him. Hurst, Hill, Elliott, Togiai, and Winfrey. There's no way they keep 7.
Togiai's gone.
Togiai's already.
No. You're not even defensive tackles. You're only keeping 4.
So I just named 7. Are the 3 Elliott, Togiai, Winfrey gone?
Well, no, Winfrey's not gone.
I think Perrion stays. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not gone.
Maybe Hill, one of those. Elliott gone?
I don't think all those veteran guys are sure things.
No, but I'm just saying.
They're not making any guaranteed money. If they're not good in camp, they'll move on from those guys.
So I'm just saying right now, for just the sake of having fun.
Who's a short thing to be on the roster?
No, Tomlinson, if they sign Woods.
Thompson and Perrion, to me, are the only 2 guys that are short things to be on the roster at defensive tackle.
Well, if they sign Woods, he'd be.
Yeah, okay. If they sign Woods, you're right. He'd be 3. But Hurst, what is Hurst getting? Like $1 million? I mean, he's not a guarantee to be on the team.
So it's just for the sake of prediction.
Yeah.
For today.
Yeah.
More likely to be on the Browns.
Togiai's definitely gone. 100%.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Jordan Elliott or Mo Hurst on the Browns 53-man roster.
Probably Hurst. I don't know. It could be either.
Yeah, I think it's
camp battle.
Yeah, I was trying to get those words out. I think it's a camp battle.
There's not a lot of guaranteed money, or if any, on either of those guys.
Which is why I do think if they are able to sign a guy like Woods, it gives you the ability to truly evaluate who fits the system better, who's more productive.
Yeah.
Who do we need more? And when you have the ability to make cuts like that in training camp, it shows the overall depth of the roster that I don't think they had at that position last year.
By the way, one other position, two other positions that we don't really talk about much that they could either draft very late or pick up as a priority free agent.
Can I guess one?
Yeah.
You gonna say punter?
Punter. Could have 7th-round punter or a free agent who could end up stealing the job. And by the way, something else they could do late, 6th, 7th round, they might draft a quarterback.
I was thinking that too.
Hey,
I don't think Josh Dobbs is a lock to be on this team.
So per Josina Anderson, the Browns are actually hosting Tennessee wide receiver Jalen Hyatt for a visit today. So, Bull, to your point about not knowing the future with Amari Cooper and the Browns actually preparing themselves to be 1 year ahead like the Steelers used to do, I think they can package a couple of those picks, and if Jalen Hyatt is there in the 2nd round, that can be their pick, and he probably can step in and start right away.
Hey, that little nugget's brought to us by Lincoln Electric, because Browns Nuggets these days are brought to us by our good friends over at Lincoln Electric. If you need a job, they are masters in manufacturing and welding. Check out good old Lincoln Electric.
Put Lincoln Electric's graphic up there. Give them a good look at Lincoln Electric.
Yeah, Lincoln Electric, man.
They're lighting me up right now.
It's such a great logo. But we talked about this yesterday, but look how clean that logo looks.
Yeah.
Just saying. Lincoln Electric, great
good.
people. Hey, that's a good point, though, Earl. And they might love a receiver. They might love someone.
Yeah, I don't want to get – I think people get carried away by to me, these visits are meaningless.
Yeah.
It's not an indicator that you're necessarily interested in the player or not. Sometimes teams meet with these guys to –
as smoke screens.
Yeah, who knows what the truth is. But, yeah, I mean, it does make a point of wide receiver. Like, I definitely think wide receiver is in the mix for the Browns in this draft. But I think there's no way they stay and take 2 guys in the 3rd, 2 guys in the 4th. And they're going to use those picks to move up, move down. Maybe they're going to try to get more picks next year.
Yeah.
You know.
As Jason said, they can't fit 8-9 guys on this roster. They just –
I mean, numbers, you could, but
it's highly unlikely.
Yeah. The numbers don't –
is the Browns roster that good right now?
To take 8 rookies?
Yeah, I mean,
on this roster?
Yeah, probably not.
And not even high picks, like low picks?
Right. Yeah. Unlikely. That'd be a bad sign.
A first, 2 seconds, and 2/3, then maybe they.
Right.
But we're talking 5th, 6th round picks.
Yeah. All right, let's keep moving now.